I'm here with Mary Contento, and she's a longtime Cortland resident and lives on the east side. Mary, how long have you lived in Cortland?
I was 82 April
Oh my goodness.
24th.
So you've lived here all your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you were telling me earlier that you lived in this house for 61 years.
Mm-hmm.
But before that you lived in your mother's house.
Yeah.
And was that on this side of town?
Yeah, around the corner on
Yeah.
Cleveland Street.
Mhm. So you've been on the east side your whole life?
Yeah.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah, it is.
What do you enjoy about it? What do you like about the east side?
Well, it was close-knit, and you knew everybody, and there were a lot of children because we had a school in the neighborhood, and a lot of jobs, too, so.
What were the jobs that were here?
Oh my gosh, we had the boat factory, Champion Sheet Metal, not Champion, Brewers, and that stayed until recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was Brockway, Cabinet, you go way back,
Right?
you know.
Yeah, quite a few for
Yeah.
a small part of town, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, in the homes, that's what they were built around. Nobody had a lot of cars, and so the homes were built right around. That's why their neighborhoods were close to.
Uh-huh.
They could walk to work.
Right.
So
Did your father work in one of the factories?
Cortland Line,
Cortland Line.
45 years.
Wow.
They were loyal. They in those days to their, in the what's his name, the boss. He knew everybody by name, you know, in the shop, and they were friendly with their employees. My mother worked there between having the children, so.
And they probably, by and large, the bosses lived often in the same community that their workers
That's right.
did, right?
Yeah.
So they would mingle with each other.
That's right.
They didn't live up on the hill somewhere in a mansion and
Yeah.
never see each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go to the Pomeroy School?
Yes, I did,
Yeah.
and I had a picture of all the teachers that were there then too. I didn't find it again, but I will, and bringing it to the Historical Society. They were there a long time too, the teachers.
Was that 1 through 8th grade, or did it
1 through 7.
1 through 7?
Yeah, and I wish they still were like that too, because the kids are up to the high school mixed in with the older kids,
Right.
and it's different, you
Yeah.
know.
And then after that, you went to the high school on 60 Central Ave? Is that where
Yeah,
you went?
that's where I went.
So you went to the high school that's now the county office building.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And then you came full cycle because you became a county legislator.
Yeah, right.
Now, when did you run for legislature?
It was, let's see, Chris was going to college. 78, I think. I can't remember.
In the 70s, though.
Yeah,
And how long did you serve?
26 years.
My gosh, I didn't realize it was that long.
Hmm.
Did you?
I got a plaque. See it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Don't close your eyes.
Yeah, I see it. That was nice of them. Did you enjoy it? Did you like serving?
Yeah, yes. It's changed because in those days they had more committees and you had more checks and balances, I think. You were put on different committees. Sometimes it was picked politically. Sometimes whoever was in office, the Democrats or the Republicans, they would maybe have more of their party on the committee. But that's why the checks and balances
Right.
worked out too, because you had caucuses and phone calls.
I imagine it kept you pretty busy.
So, yeah.
What were some of the committees that you served?
They gave me 5 committees right away. Mike Colacerdo was the legislator before me, and he was there a good 20 years. And before him, it was like Fred Johnson, and he was there 20 years. So there were only 3 of us at that, that one were representing this ward. They called it the channel. They called it the 5th ward, I think, in those days. But
So when you first ran and they put you on 5 committees, what were some of the committees that?
Well, the budget, all the committees that Mike was on.
I see.
Because he was there a long time. And that's what they did. They put me on budget and all the committees he was on. And
I remember you from the, was it the Health Committee? The
yeah,
Human Services Committee?
Health Committee
Yeah.
and planning. I always enjoyed planning and environmental, all that.
You must have learned an awful lot about the county when serving on those committees and serving that long.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get up to speed?
Well, they let me come into the budget meetings. The election was in November. And they let me sit in on the budget committees. They were doing the budget and all that.
Yeah.
So that helped. And then when I started in January, I was, getting my feet wet. They were, some of them were helpful. Some, I was the only one that they were all incumbents except me.
So you were the newbie.
Yeah, I was a new girl, new guy.
And were you the only woman?
No, Florence Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
She was a pioneer, I guess. And I think Ruth Schaub. I can't remember if she won that time, but
But she had served on the legislature.
yeah, I think so.
I remember Florence. I think she was the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were one of the first.
Yeah,
You must have been.
yeah. Connie Swar was there, and Florence. I'm trying to think. They put us in the seats. The older ones got the front seats. We were in the back. So
That gave you something to aspire to, I guess.
yeah.
What have you seen that's changed in the legislature from when you were
Oh
on?
dear. Communications. I mean, I used to go out of town to shop because I had good relationship with the department heads and the workers. I don't know. I don't see that anymore. Some of them, I mean, the department heads would tell me, some wouldn't even ever be in their department, go in their department and visit them. I used to drop in.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe because I had the time to, but actually I did, and I was taking care of parents and people and my kids.
I remember it.
So,
you were very involved.
Yeah.
And you served on boards too, outside of the
Oh
legislature.
yeah, in those days they had subcommittees,
Right.
and you were appointed,
Yeah.
and you went to those meetings. Mental health, I remember coming home about 10 o'clock at night from some of those meetings.
You used to go, I remember you from the home care board. You were on
Yeah.
home care for Cortland County.
That was before they had any no help for you. My dad was sick. We couldn't get any help. We were exhausted, to taking care of him. But they were talking on that health systems committee. And there's a priest and a doctor and different people from the community on there. And it came from out of there,
So you helped set that up.
Yeah, because I had the experience
You
of
must
going
have had
through
some
it.
satisfaction doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I
So-
was glad that they were talking about it at the time.
And then you served on that home care board a long time.
Yeah.
You were on there a long time. Yeah. Well, you've done a lot of good. You must feel like some sense
Well,
of
I
accomplishment.
think so, and I take credit for the bus system, the transit, only because I'm on the planning committee, and we had to have a study on that for 4 years before they would okay,
When
the
was
transit.
that? When did that first start, the bus system? Do you remember? Was it in the early 80s? or mid-'80s?
I think so.
Because I know the Office for Aging had a bus of our own, and we did away with that when the bus system started.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was maybe the early 80s. So it's
I
been
think
around
so.
a while.
I know we got a grant each year to continue,
Right.
and I was sort of persistent in keeping it up, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
and Mayo left. Mayo
Snyder, yeah.
Yeah, and we kept it up, study, and then it went into the Office of Aging, I think,
Well, oh gosh, I can't remember.
or Social Services. I know they couldn't.
it was
At one
Social
point, they
Services.
wanted the people to take the bus, not a cab.
Right. Well, they did for many years.
Yeah.
They took the bus. They just started like 3 years ago
Yeah,
having them take cabs, which is too bad because that reimbursement for the bus system
that's right.
was helpful.
Yes, and money for the
The bus stand.
bus stops.
It's very hard. I don't think people realize how hard it is to get something like that
Yeah.
set up, how much work it takes.
Yeah,
And then in a small rural community, how important the subsidies are. You know, people say, why don't you have a 24/7 bus system? But it's very hard with
Yeah.
the population that we have to maintain a system at all.
that's right.
Yeah, you know firsthand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have on a different subject, Mary, do you have or could you share maybe a favorite place or one of your favorite places in Cortland? Not necessarily the city, the whole county, a place that you enjoy going, or if you had visitors come to see you, you might take them that you're proud of to show off?
Well, my cousin from Italy came, and I couldn't believe how impressed he was because I was in the county, and I brought him up there, and I don't know what they thought, I was a king or something, but it was funny, really. He was so impressed with that in the building and the colleges. That's what I bring them around the colleges, especially people who have been away a long time. It's grown so,
It has.
yeah, and it's good.
He should have been impressed by the county legislature.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
I think so.
Yeah. And it's a nice facility that they have now too. So.
Yeah. And I feel bad because they're one by one we're leaving.
Yeah, you know, that's why I think it's important to
Yeah.
talk to people like yourself,
Yeah.
so that we remember and we preserve, you know, so the memories of some of the
Yeah,
people that
That's right.
were.
As far as countywide, I was born a girl. And my friend too, she was only child, she was the girl. And our parents, our fathers were good fishermen and hunting, you know. So we went all over the county with them to the spots where they picked the mushrooms and the spots where they had went for rabbits, and I recognized as I got older, you know, a lot of the places. Genoa, my goodness, that's way out.
Wow, you went far afield.
So, and I always liked the country too. My son's up there in the country, in Colebrook, and it's beautiful, it really is.
It is pretty. You know, it doesn't take us long to get there, does it?
No.
That's
No.
one of the nice things.
Yeah,
3
right.
minutes and you're out in the countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any? What would you be willing to share? Maybe one of your favorite memories of growing up in Cortland, or your adulthood in Cortland, for that matter. Anything? Any funny stories? Maybe an East Side story.
Oh,
Did you get into any mischief when you were young, or
Well,
know anybody that did?
I can't recall. I remember my neighbor catching me playing with matches, but I must have been 5 years old then. And he told me he was going to tell my father, and he did.
Oh, well, that people. Look
I could
out.
still remember squatting next to the house where the leaves were, you know. I still remember looking down. I still see the leaves.
Oh my gosh, Mary.
So, but he put the fear of God into me.
People did that, didn't they?
Yeah,
You know, they would intervene with their neighbors.
Yeah, that's right.
That close-knit community that you mentioned.
yeah.
When you were a kid, were you allowed to wander around? Were there any stores, little stores in the area that you were allowed to go to?
Not really. I mean, if I did, I didn't tell my mother. But anyway, the neighbors all knew you. There's always somebody home, you know, whether it was the grandma or you know, the mother stayed at home with the family. And you knew them all, and they knew you.
Yeah.
So the Pomeroy School Grounds was right across the street practically from my house. And that's where we were allowed to go as far as that. And my father had a whistle. And he'd put those fingers in his mouth and you'd hear it from here to home, or my God. And my sister and I, my sister was 8 and I was 10. She passed when she was 8. But anyway, that was the sad time, you know, in our lives.
Awful.
Yeah.
Oh, that is sad. That's so young.
Yeah.
How many other siblings did you have, or do you have?
Well, after 11 years, they had my brother, Nick, who's passed now, and my sister Annie.
So you're the oldest.
Yeah.
And you're the only one remaining.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Wait, you mentioned your house was across from the
Kitty Corner.
Kitty Corner. Is that part of where the St. Anthony's parking lot is now? I mean, was your house? Is your house still there?
My house was across the street from. Right in the corner of East Court. Big house.
Okay.
It was a big home.
Yeah.
And
was St. Anthony's there then?
yes, I have pictures someplace of my father was always with a camera.
Yeah.
And yes, it was big in those days too. They had the celebration on the Pomeroy grounds.
I see.
And the booths and the food things, booths were set up across the sidewalk in the front. The child care center was a whole field lot.
Okay.
The school lot.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And in the winter, they wouldn't have Dexter Park or the park then. They would flood it, and they'd bring this railroad car, didn't have. I think it had a little potbelly stove in there and 2 benches, and that's where we could change our skates. I used to go borrow the boys' skates. I didn't have skates, hockey skates, brown skates, from a friend down the street. His name was Maloney, Carl Maloney. And that's what I wore.
I bet you were a sight. That must have been quite the thing, though. I bet you all the neighborhood kids went to the skating rink.
And in the East End.
And in the summertime, what would you do? There was no park? You said Dexter Park wasn't there.
No, Dexter Park wasn't there, but there was a pile of rubble. I think they just, for fill, I think it was cement pieces and stuff. We used to climb on that. The neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
And shouldn't have been there, but we did. As far as anything else, you stayed in your neighborhood, you know, roller skated, comic books. That's how we read well.
Yeah, right.
We exchanged comic books. And there was a man where the Eagles is. That was, he called him Osman. His job years ago was a clown at the circus, or the circuses. And he had a shop that had comic books on the counters. And the kids could bring their comics and trade with them.
Really?
Or buy the used ones or something. And it was so funny. In the store, let me see, there was a store in that area too. A lot of stores, almost on every corner. Isn't that funny?
It is. And you could go to them.
Yes, yeah.
That must have been kind of fun, really.
Yeah.
Go in and out, and everybody knew you.
If you had a penny or 2 cents, boy,
Well,
you know,
you were rich.
and a nickel. Oh my God.
Now, how would you get that money to go buy something? Would you do chores around the house for your parents?
Well, my mother, there's a couple ladies. I was 10 when I left there, so I was real young. This lady came by one time. She knew her, you know, she went to our church and everything. And she asked my mother if she could take me home, I could help her, and she would pay me. Well, way on Randall Street. She had a little boy. That little boy, here I'm dusting the floor, 10-year-old.
Yeah.
and he's jumping on me, wanting to play. Not only that, she only gave me a dime.
Oh, whoa.
Oh,
Did you go back again after that?
I don't think so. I remember going back again.
That's not enough for that. Having somebody jump on you while you're dusting.
Yeah.
No. So you did do odd jobs then. You did.
I'd sit with the kids or the mothers in the neighborhood. I was the oldest, and the kids would come out and play. The different families. They remember some of them.
Yeah.
I babysat with them. I mean, kept an eye on them.
Right.
And I used to go to the Green Arch. I used to help my aunt at the Green Arch. She'd come and get me because I was little. And I'd help her.
Who was your aunt?
Gracie DeShenza.
Okay.
John was her husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Green Arch is still there, but it's owned by a different
Yeah, Petrella's
group now.
bought it.
Yeah. It's nice that it's still open.
I know it. I really would have. It's been my life too. I used to keep the kids occupied, and
You like the mother
they
hen?
put a dish of French fries in front of us when it was later at night or something. There was a back room there where the kids sat. We were back there, and that made us happy. And they would bring us to the waterworks in Homer for a picnic. And she'd drop us off. Josie, the other DeShenza lady, she worked there for years too. Mary Ann would remember that, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's what we'd say, and then they'd come after us. Then they'd bring us to the movies too that way.
Where would you go
kids.
to the movies? Where would they bring you to the movies? Where was the movie theater?
The Shine Theater that they should not have taken down.
That's on. Was that on North Main? Was that the one on North Main?
It was right where the bank parking lot is.
Yeah, North Main. Yeah.
That
That's
was a
too
beautiful
bad.
place.
Was it?
And so was the hotel. That was a shame too.
I saw the pictures of the hotel.
Oh, it was terrible.
Sad.
That money came available that year that he was going to take it down. So.
It was so sad. I remember.
I know it.
I remember people talking about it, about how, was it Gert Goldner or someone that had thought that, or had wished that they could have turned it into senior housing. And, well, it was a tragedy, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I went up there. My girl, the last owner, Mr. Manich, his daughter was my girlfriend. Anyway, we must have been older because I helped with the banquet, and the daughter did too, and another friend. It was the restaurant people, and they served prime rib with the juice. And this one person, I think he's still living, I bent over, and the dish went like that, and the juice went all down his suit, down his back. Oh, I was so embarrassed. I could have died.
Oh, did that end your career as a server?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Oh,
I bet you weren't too broken up about it.
Well, we went upstairs in that place too, because Bear was there a lot. And you see those old cowboy pictures on TV? That's how the upstairs was. There was lights in the hall that were in the wall, I think.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the cowboy movies, the hotels in the cowboy movies.
Well, it was all made out of wood, I guess. It was old-fashioned
Yeah,
construction.
the thick woodwork and everything. And they had banquets and weddings. I've been to weddings there. Yeah, what a shame.
It really was. Thank goodness Cortland has preserved
And they had
some of the history. I mean, remember when they wanted to tear the old high school down, and thank goodness they turned it into a county office.
Yes, and it's still standing and
still
it's
there.
fine.
It doesn't have the cupola, which doesn't make me happy, but they took the cupola off it. But
I wasn't happy with that either. We fixed it all right. We had trouble with it. We used plexiglass. Now, if you kept the maintenance up, it would have been all right.
yeah,
Same with all other buildings, you know.
And I'm sure there could have been a grant if somebody had put some work into it.
Yeah.
They could have found a preservation grant.
Yeah.
To preserve
The cobblestone church. Where's that
Oh, I
cupola?
know. They
Can't somebody? I mean,
I know,
gee.
that really that made me sad too to see that go down.
Yeah.
Well,
I was told, and I don't know how true, but years ago, when the immigrants came, they didn't have any place for their church or masses or anything, and that church allowed them to use
really,
it. Yeah.
I know that it has a history of being very inclusive. I mean, they had abolitionists speak there, and
Yeah.
they were really very welcoming to a lot of different groups. So it probably makes sense that that's a true story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I hate to see these buildings
Yeah.
go. The churches especially.
Well, like I say, I think we're kind of lucky that we do have some things preserved. We have everything.
I
wasn't
tried
torn
to
down.
preserve the county farm.
I remember.
That was the only campus. There's another one, I forget where. But, I mean, we went to, I was on Buildings and Grounds chairman then. Boy, I got so much. They wanted to, we had people look at it from Binghamton, housing people, housing assistants, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked at the basement. Same thing. They built their social services on the way in to Owego.
Right. I
And I've watched it.
Mhm.
I've watched it.
Yeah.
And now they sold part of the land to the industrial. Across the street are apartments, wood.
Yeah.
They're still standing. In the back, they had a salvage yard too, way back. It's all the land that they own.
Yeah.
Now they built on to the buildings. I mean, it's 7 miles from the town,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons here
Right.
that they didn't want it. It was 3 miles. I mean, you could walk that.
Right. It was sold off. Is that right? It wasn't the county farm was sold off to someone private, right?
They
Not-
didn't do anything with it.
Is it must be falling down by now?
Yes, it is.
Too bad.
And the neighbors, oh my gosh. And I was surprised because they're the type of people who would have, been good behind something like that. We had, Cooperative Extension was willing to go there. The tractor people, of course, I'm glad what they did today, but they wanted to use the barn. The barn was staple for their tractors, in the land for tractor pulls and everything.
Oh, like the club.
Yeah, the club.
Mhm.
And the milk house, I think, was still standing. They wanted to use that for their if they got calls for bats or animals or something, where they tested them. I just $2,000. That's all this person bid to put the roof on. Roofs are important. If you
Right.
fix the roof, the rest of the building will be fine.
Right.
They wouldn't do it. $2,000.
That must have been really frustrating.
It was. I got a book that thick.
I bet.
A girl from the college, I think Cornell, she did a thesis on it. And it was great. She got good mark and everything. But all through that book, I mean, she told all the history and everything. It told the will was not there. The legislature did not have the will.
That's too bad.
And it was too bad. I mean, I used to go fishing back there with my dad. There's like an island in the back.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I remember we had the Office for Aging had gardens out there.
Danny Tiglenti, the former
Oh, Jack
alderman,
Nancy, yes, yeah.
has got a garden out there. It was beautiful.
He still does?
Yes, he's doing it
does?
again.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Last year he was beautiful.
Wow. Oh, I haven't been by there in a long time. I remember going through there when they had men living in there. Remember they had the men that didn't have any place else to go. It was like an
Yes.
adult home. And then we went through probably about the time where you were trying to save
Yeah,
it. And it
yeah.
was kind of like at the tipping point then that something needed to be done with it right away.
Yeah, well, we had people And their whatever grants they get to pay the in kind at the county building,
Right.
that could have worked there
Right,
too.
right.
It wasn't put in the National Register, Historical Register. So they could have fixed inside, you know,
Yeah.
but not the outside.
Well,
In
that
the
was,
little chapel. They
yeah, I
had a
remember the chapel, yeah, yeah.
We went, the legislators, when I was new on there too, they invited all the legislators to dinner. Sean, Sweeney,
Oh, I remember Sean.
and Linda, I think.
Yes.
They took care of it.
Yes,
They did a wonderful
They
job.
ran the adult home there. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going back. Well, that was probably one of your biggest frustrations
Yeah, it
on
was.
the legislature. What's your biggest satisfaction having been on the legislature? What do you look back on and say, well, I'm glad I was there and I helped get that done?
Yeah, well, I think I made them think twice because I would vote no a lot. And they'd have to, you know, look at it again or whatever. But all in all, I like the people. Oh, I miss that. But a lot of them were good. Some male chauvinists were on board, you know.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah, we.
Yes.
Esther 21, she was another one that was on there then. So we had to pick the material for the curtains in the auditorium. I remember that's what they gave us to do. And then,
You had to be pretty strong to.
yeah,
Put
but
up
we
with
had
that.
to keep the auditorium too because they kept going after that.
I know. I remember 2 times when I was working there that they
Yeah.
wanted that, and it came up again, I think, last year. Again, and it's not utilized as much as it could be, but it's a beautiful space,
That's right.
and I would hate to see it go.
Yeah.
But, well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Mary, that we haven't covered?
I know that. Well, I know things have changed up there at the county, and
How
I
about in
don't.
the-
I don't like. Well, we were taught. We had a notebook in a class that Cooperative Extension put out. And it told all about what the meeting stood for, how we were supposed to treat things. Never went public with a lot of the things that they're going public with. You know, I mean, that's disgusting.
It kind of sows more dissension, I think,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
So there were gentlemen and ladies when I went. But I don't see that anymore.
Well, you mentioned earlier the communication. I think the communication, it breeds respect.
Yes.
It's a cycle, isn't it? If you
Yes.
respect, you communicate. If you communicate, you gain respect
Mm-hmm.
because you get to know people. So maybe that's kind of been short-circuited.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about in the county as a whole? What would you, when you think about the county over your lifetime, is there something that stands out as a big change or dramatic change?
No jobs. Industry gone. I don't think they worked hard enough, those in power that could do something to keep them here. I mean, think of your area. That work ethic with all those industries we had is gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. Ladies brought their families up and worked in the Crescent at the same time.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's gone. So it's a whole new different kind of interest out there. They don't know how to, get their hands dirty.
The expectation.
My husband worked 3 jobs.
Yeah.
When I first got married.
What did he do?
Well, he worked at Durkee's Bakery.
Yeah.
He worked at Corona. He worked at his brother's. He's still there.
Wow.
88. He's still there.
When did he find time to come home and eat supper?
Well, he finds time for that, but nothing else. The rest, I have to call the man. I tell him I'm going to call the man.
You mentioned your son. Is that your only child? Do you have more children?
No, I have. Chris lives in Utica.
Okay.
He runs a pasta shop,
Okay.
and he's a runner. Put that in. He's still running, and he's got all his trophies hanging up, and
So he's healthy.
Yeah, he is so
Yeah.
far.
And you have another son that lives here, right?
Tim lives here.
Tim,
Yeah,
okay.
he works for the city,
Okay.
and he has Gia, my granddaughter.
Oh, yeah, how cute.
And
So-
this son is Chris's boy, and he's in Italy right
Oh,
now.
my goodness. What's he
He's
doing there?
He's going to be a doctor, brain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
And they
accomplished.
went on a mission to study
Mhm.
a community in Italy. I forgot, Baca.
Was that the one that has the Alzheimer's?
It's got Alzheimer's.
Yes, I saw that on TV.
You did?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a very unique place because it's a hereditary form of Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
And just about everybody gets it.
yeah.
So they're trying
That's
to
right.
find out, maybe it would help find a cause for Alzheimer's or a cure for Alzheimer's.
That's what he's doing,
Isn't
researching
that
it.
good for him? You must be really proud.
He's 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
So young to be doing that.
He just finished 4 years of type of medicine that has to do with the brain. I forgot what they call it.
Neuro.
It's at Boca de Chin, something like
I don't
that.
remember the name of the place.
I wish I had seen it.
Yeah, I forget what show it was on. I think it might have been 60 Minutes.
Oh,
It was on within the last.
yeah, about
Year or
16
so.
of them went.
Wow, that's
16
really
doctors.
amazing. I'll have to come back and hear how it went. So you have two sons.
Two
those are-
sons.
And so one lives here and one doesn't live here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Cortland is in his heart.
Mm-hmm.
My other son,
Yeah, yeah.
he loved Cortland.
Well, I think I probably picked your brain enough. Unless there's something that you'd like to add, something that you'd like to say that we haven't talked about.
Well, I like to see change, but I don't like when they're ignoring what the environmental people in the water, soil and water people, they aren't paying attention to those people at all.
It's important because that's one of the things that we have going for us,
That's right.
isn't it? The water.
The water. I mean,
And as the world gets, as water gets more scarce in other places, we will look pretty attractive if we
yeah.
keep it.
And that was an asset for us when we were looking for workers.
Right.
I mean,
The companies,
industry.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you'd make a plea to preserve the environment that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Cortlandville.
Mhm.
So, I mean, somebody's got to tell them something.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me, Mary. Maybe I can come back sometime.
You come back anytime.
Thank you.